Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Well, today I want to talk about voting and the voting process. And I want to say, without a doubt, that I have not missed any elections since 1978 when I first turned 18 and was able to vote for the first time in the June primaries back then. Yeah, California used to have primaries. We still do, just that you don't hear about them that much like we used to. Um, but anyway, I voted in every election and every circumstance that caused a vote here in California and especially Alameda County. And for the nearly 1 year that I lived in North Carolina, I didn't miss that vote either. I actually voted in the state of North Carolina as a resident because I was a brand new resident, and I had registered just in time to be listed as a resident for what was that, the 2008 election, and that was with John McCain and President Barack Obama. And we know the outcome of that one. But again, getting back to the importance of it, I have voted in every election. And this year, decision 2024 is even more important because we have not only a president that we're looking at, looking at putting in the White House, and we also have um, other seats up for election, and in this is called a presidential election year, and these are the most important of all the elections. We have elections usually about every 2 years, and that's government wide. It can trickle down from the federal government all the way down to your local boards, like your school boards and your mayors and your city councils and supervisors of the counties. So these have very important ramifications, and the most important vote is the presidential election. And so a lot of important propositions get put in place to put before the voters for taxes, approval of taxes, and then also bonds and different measures. But usually measures are smaller legislative things, but they still come in more important ones through the presidential elections. But also we have senators and House of Representatives that are up for election, and these change how our government works, especially the House of Representatives and the Senate. These are very, very powerful bodies, legislative bodies of our government. And uh, the House Speaker, which we knew for the longest time was California and out of San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi was the House Speaker for the Democrats for a very long time. And then the Republicans, they've had a number of people as their Speaker. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that this election in November 5th, also there's going to be a lot of important measures. And here in Oakland, we actually have two recalls going, which are going to change the dynamics of Alameda County and the city of Oakland should both recalls be successful. So a lot of interesting things, and a lot of, and I want to encourage the young folks, especially the young folks. You don't think you have that big of an influence on um, how things in our government run. Yes, you do. You have a lot of power, and a lot of these measures are decided by either two-thirds vote, uh, two-thirds majority, because it has to be a majority because it involves your money. And so um, you need to say no if you're going to say no. And then if you uh, support the measure, vote for it, make sure that it passes. Uh, and there's also things that come up that are just insanely stupid. And I'm not going to get into that because I'm going to get in trouble on that one if I speak out on that. But anyway, um, this is an important vote, and you ladies have a huge amount of influence, especially in this one, and on both sides. We have people on both sides. Uh, there are people that support Donald Trump's view uh, of life and pro-life, and then we have uh, Kamala Harris, who is um, uh, wants to protect a woman's right to decide, and I support that. Uh, I don't think any government or government agency should tell any person what to do with their body, especially in a free country that we have. And so I do not support the right to life folks. People, um, that that one goes back a long ways, and I remember when Roe v. Wade was ratified. It was adopted. I go back that long, but again, I go back to you ladies, and the reason why is because uh, two important ladies that were in my life never voted. My grandmother and then my mother never voted. And my mother was born shortly after the ratification of the 19th Amendment. It took 46 years to get ratified. And that gave you ladies the guaranteed right to vote. And um, it was sad that my mother, throughout her entire lifetime, she never voted. My grandmother, I can understand why she never voted. Number one, she didn't speak or read or write English, and so that was a problem. And back then, we don't. They didn't have voting ballots written in other languages. It was English only, and if you didn't read and write English, tough. And they didn't allow you to have a translator. So it was essentially censoring a vote, and that was very common. And where do we still see that today? In Georgia, they still suppress the vote. But ladies, exercise your 19th Amendment right. Go vote. Make a difference in this country. Say no to the right to lifers who want to take away your right to decide how you uh, take care of your own body. Not them, you. Um, so these are some of the topics that are important and very political. Like I said, and so my grandmother could never vote because she could not read or write English. Uh, while she was a naturalized citizen because she married my grandfather, who was a born U.S. citizen. He was the first generation born in America, and especially here in the San Francisco Bay Area, along with my mother and my other uncle, who was her older brother, Bob. Uh, And so they were the first generation actually born on these shores. And my grandfather and grandmother became naturalized citizens, but it was very late after World War II that they were able to, because before then they couldn't become citizens of the United States because of racist laws that were in place and that were rescinded in 1941. And it was actually in 1946 that the titles to the 5 family homes that were held overseas in a Hong Kong bank and protected under British rule, because Hong Kong was under a British territory. And so our main bank that we owned, or that my grandfather was a CEO of, we had all the titles transferred there, and then that secured the future, the generational wealth of the 5 homes and the 5 sons and daughters of Liu Hing. So that was important. Ladies, go exercise your right to vote. You make a difference. And it was sad that my mother never did, but then it was a different time. And what can I say? She got home. She would be leaving to go to work in San Francisco or Daly City, where she ended up. So that was well before the polls opened at 8 o'clock. And then by the time she got back home, it was 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. And when you had a long day at work, and especially retail, you don't want to do a lot of things. You just want to go home, get the evening done with, and then get to bed. And so it was tough. My wife, my first wife, she did vote. I don't know how regularly. I didn't keep tabs. I wasn't married to her for long. My first marriage lasted a mere 14 months, not years, or it was months. That was when I said enough. I had tapped out, and I took the bankruptcy route to get rid of her house and all the financial debt that she buried me with. So second wife, she did vote. She voted regularly, and here in the state of California, it's even easier because it's vote by mail. But you can still go to a polling center. On, let's see, 2 elections back, I actually went to the library to hand in my voting ballot, my mail-in voting ballot. I did not mail it in because there were issues, there were measures that I wanted to make sure that I was correct on before I placed my vote. And so I waited until the very last minute, and I went in, and it was very easy because since I already had it in the envelope, signed, sealed, ready to give to the collection box that collects the votes. It was real easy, and I signed in. They verified me on the list, and they took me over to the box, and I inserted the vote. They cannot touch your vote, and what's nice about that, it is a document that can go back and be verified. And the same thing with the electronic voting. If you haven't ever done the electronic voting, it's very interesting because you actually have a chip, and your votes and everything is on that chip. And so if there's something hinky going on with the vote, Alameda County can go back and do a recount with all of the chips. It's not even paper voting ballots, kind of like the fiasco way back, what was that, in 2000 with Al Gore and George W. Bush. We had the hanging chads. You may not have been born because that was 24 years ago. And so if you're younger than 24, you wouldn't have even known about that. The hanging chad. You should go Google that and look that up. It was real interesting, and it delayed the actual certification because it took so long to count the vote, and the vote was very narrow, but it was finally awarded to George W. Bush, and that was an interesting time. And this election, this is now the 60th presidential elections since our government was founded. That's pretty interesting. The 60th presidential election. So, but one of the things I want to say in closing is that go out and vote. And we have a real hanky election system because our vote doesn't actually vote for the president. Did you know that? Because we have an electoral college that actually submits the final votes that elects the president. What we're doing is voting. We're called the popular vote, and the popular vote tells the electoral college which candidate to vote for, which issues to vote for. And so these are all important things to learn about in our government. But it became a real big issue because George W. Bush, he won the electoral college while Al Gore won the popular vote. And it's, again, it goes back to the electoral college that elects the president, and it is up to the electoral college to either vote the way that you, the voter, voted and told the electoral college to vote, or they can elect to go another direction. It's extremely rare, and I can't remember an incident where that actually happened, but usually the electoral college goes with the way that the popular vote says to go. And each state is broken down into different districts, and that comes down to your assembly people and your congressional people and your local registrar of voters. So get involved with government. I've been involved with government pretty much all my life, and that's that was through a lot of my relatives in the early on stages. Then my dad being in a civil service worker at for our shipyards. Also, all my uncles, a lot of my uncles were in the different shipyards and the naval air stations that literally littered the Bay Area. Uh, and so we've had a big influence, and you need to make an influence and an impact moving forward. Get involved. You may think that your vote doesn't matter. It does matter, because a lot of the issues, even this election, can be decided by one or two votes, and it matters. So get out there, go vote, and I hope to see you in the new year with this new president in place, and we move forward in a positive direction. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.